welcome back to another week of Operation Evil. This is episode 39. We read it and said it volume 2. I am your host, Nyoka.
I am Rachel.
Thank you for tuning in today to listen to us reading a bunch of crazy stuff on Reddit. We hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Let us know what you thought, and we will still get you that information on the giveaway as soon as we have that. We don't have any other business to attend to unless if you could think of anything, Rachel.
Nope, we just needed something a little lighter this week.
Yes, we did. Yeah, just change of pace, and you guys seemed to like it last time, so we picked out some stuff to read. The first one is called Was I Almost Kidnapped? This happened in Illinois about 17 years ago. I was 13 or 14 around 2004, give or take a year. I was at a restaurant with a group of friends. The restaurant was a sit-down restaurant, some sort of a chain. There was a large group of us, so we had to sit in two separate tables, not next to each other, but not far. I was with a female friend at one of the tables with two boys. I reached out to her about this. She says she recalls that it happened and that we were at a Mexican restaurant, but doesn't remember any details. We were sitting at a table next to a window. All of a sudden, a man no one recognizes comes up to the window and bangs on the window and says to us, "You." We watched him walking to come in, so we ran over and sat at the other table with our other friends. The man, who was white and bald, was wearing a Letterman's jacket. That always weirded me out. Well, the whole thing weirded me out. But I remember he wasn't old, but he wasn't real young enough to expect to see someone wearing a Letterman's jacket. It felt really strange to me. That's all that I can say about what age I thought he was. So he went over to the boys' table and started asking where we went. And they said they didn't know. And we sat with our heads down at the other table. I don't remember who these boys were, so I couldn't ask them about this. A woman came in with him too. I don't remember anything about her at all, other than she was with him. I watched them as he guarded the men's bathroom, and she went into the women's and slammed every bathroom stall open. Slammed it loud enough that we could hear it, seemingly looking for us. And then he went into the men's and did the same. When they couldn't find us, they got in their car and moved it to the front of the restaurant and just sat there. I told the restaurant manager or server. The restaurant didn't call the police, but they had us wait until the car was no longer parked out front. I don't remember having cell phones yet. We didn't get kidnapped, and I remember everything else about it. It was at least 17 years ago. I don't even remember how long we waited until they left, but the event itself stayed pretty clear in my mind. Watching and listening to true crime made me think about this all the time. I think at the time we thought they thought we were kids, or maybe they thought we were someone else. But as we gotten older, I think it was almost a kidnapping. I know from true crime that a couple often kidnaps kids together, or one uses the other to lure kids. And I'm 30 now, and I need answers. If it wasn't almost a kidnapping, I can't be the only one that this happened to. Has anyone else had a similar experience, particularly in the Midwest around 2002 to 2006, with a couple that matches that description? Do you believe it was a case of mistaken identity, or were we almost kidnapped? What do you think?
Initially, I did think like they probably thought she was someone else.
Yep.
But she totally makes sense with the couple thing because, look at JC Dugard.
Oh, yeah.
It was a couple. And then there was someone else that there was a couple.
Let's see what some other people said. Someone said, it blows my mind that some adults just completely blew off children's concerns and our complaints. If two 13-year-old girls came to me and said an adult couple they didn't know were aggressively trying to find them in my restaurant, there was zero chance of me not calling the police. I'm glad nothing happened to you and your friend that day. Let's see. Somebody said the fact that they were throwing the stall doors open loudly and banging on the windows when they first saw you makes me think that they were angry about something. Could they have mistaken you for someone else? I asked because I went through something similar, but not as scary. As a teen, I was at a store in Chicago and I was with some friends laughing at something. The group of shady characters came up to me and accused me of laughing at them. I didn't even notice them until they came up to me. I denied it and thankfully they left. But it sounds like these people were looking for trouble, but maybe
Yeah.
not kidnapping. They would be more discreet otherwise. Still, I'm glad they never caught up with you because these people definitely meant trouble. So that's a good point on both. Greeted a friend who died 3 years ago. Oh, yeah. This is one of those glitch in the matrix stories. I love those.
What?
Yeah. This whole thing happened in a restaurant. I was waiting in line near the entrance when, while I saw my friend walk through the door. I waved at him and he immediately recognized me. We didn't get to talk for too long because we were waiting in line, but he looked very surprised to see me again. After sitting down at the dining table, it finally hit me. My friend actually died 3 years ago, and somehow I had forgotten about that. I felt needles throughout my body and started to sweat because I didn't know how to react. I looked back to see where he was, and he was there, sitting at the table behind me. At that point, I couldn't take it anymore. I started feeling nauseous, so I decided to leave. I convinced myself that it was probably his doppelganger or something, but that doesn't explain our conversation we had earlier. And he even remembered my name.
Odd.
Yeah.
That's like the whole Bernstein Bears.
Yes. So let's see what some comments said. Somebody said it happened with someone here. His grandfather died and they had a funeral, but he suddenly came back out of nowhere, and no one realizes this except for the author of this post. Another person said, read a story here once of someone who went to their cousin's funeral a few years later. I want to say about 2 years. They were sitting next to them at a family dinner table, obviously freaking out that nobody remembers the cousin having died. Another person said, I have a reoccurring dream where this happens to me, though it is my sister who comes back, who has been dead for over 20 years. I realize it's just a dream for myself, but it always feels so overwhelmingly real.
Yeah, the feeling of that would be very unexplainable.
Yeah, somebody said, okay, I don't know if it's just because I'm really curious about this stuff, but I feel like I would have stayed and talked to him more to find out more about him and make sure he was real and me not hallucinating or something wrong with me. The part that stands out to me in this story is that you looked behind you and he was still there. Usually there's stories and with the person disappearing as soon as the other person looks away. That didn't happen. That didn't happen this time, tells me that there is something really going on.
He must have been really frightened, though, to just leave.
I don't know. That's just odd when your friend dies and then you run into them 3 years later.
I've honestly never heard of any stories like that before. I mean, of
No?
course, you always hear, no, like the deja vu kind of things, but that's the first time I've ever heard of anything like that.
Oh my gosh. There was I love the glitch in the matrix stories because there's one on Radio Rental that Rainn Wilson hosts. He has like this other character called Terry Carnation, and he tells these
I love that name.
right, and he tells these stories as like a video clerk or whatever, but they're like true stories people submit. And I remember this guy, young guy and girl, lived together, boyfriend girlfriend, and he was outside of the apartment and he sees her, but in a different outfit, come up to him like angry, so mad. And she storms upstairs and she grabs all her stuff out of the apartment, makes a mess. Just, he's like, what is going on? Like, they didn't even have a fight earlier. It just doesn't even make sense. She grabs everything. It was like she was a different person. And she leaves. And then shortly later, his girlfriend comes back in a different outfit.
What in the world?
Like it never happened. And he's telling her. this happened. And so they go upstairs so he can show her the apartment, like what she did and like the mess that she left and everything. And it was that way. It was in that state. And they even saw the security footage to figure this out too. And it was a girl that looked just like his girlfriend. So that's why they call it a glitch in the matrix. Like, was it two different timelines that intersected
Yeah.
accidentally? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean that's like people that go missing, those strange stories, which like Lisa Lamb,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean they found out that she was in the water tanks, but just weird, odd things like that. Like, how do you explain those things?
Yeah. Yeah. That
Or
story kind of
like,
stuck with me on that Matrix one day
yeah, it's odd.
because he
How do
was
you
like,
explain it?
that was my girlfriend, came in here, broke up with me, made a mess and left. I saw her get in a cab and leave. And then shortly later, my girlfriend comes in a different outfit, different state of mind, different mood,
I would
saying
be
that
like though,
was not her. Like she did not do that. She didn't know what he was talking about.
I would be like though, like, who did you hire to play this prank on me?
I know.
What's
That one is just I don't know. That one gets to me. And just like the Mandela effect, what you were talking about,
Yeah.
like how people remember things one way and other people remember things the other way. And why is that? So there's another one here called Memories of the Future. Every now and again, I suddenly get a preview of a few seconds to a few minutes in the future. It's kind of like remembering something that's about to happen, if it makes any sense. Not necessarily a vision, just a memory. It's usually about useless stuff, like absolutely knowing that a person is about to spend $1 on the Price is Right wheel. But sometimes it's different. One day I was walking to the store and suddenly got this nagging thought that I should have stayed put when the light turned green at the crosswalk. As I stood waiting to cross, I looked to my left at the car in the right turn lane and made sure they can see me. Then the light turned green. I put my foot out to begin walking, but hesitate for a split second because of that nagging thought about waiting to cross. The car in the right turn lane then flies by me, barely missing me. But there's a little time to internally celebrate going with my gut feeling because now my mind is nagging that there are going to be cops at the store I'm walking to. I cross the street telling myself that it's just silly. It's all a coincidence and you're being silly. I go into the store and there's only one guy and a cashier inside. The guy's being a little loud and hey, it's New York City. Then he begins throwing a total tantrum about who knows what and starts threatening the cashier lady. She then yells, I'm calling the cops. By this time, I've gathered all the stuff I'm going to buy and head to the register, if only to diffuse the situation with my mere presence. The guy then sees me trying to pay and exits the store in a fabulous, yelly fashion. The cashier calls the cops after bagging my snacks. I walk back home, plop down on the couch, and just think, well, that was a weird, crazy 10 minutes. I don't understand how or why I get these memories. It's like a cross between deja vu and ESP. Anyone experience something like this?
Wouldn't that be like a premonition though?
Yeah, it would. And this was under the glitch in the matrix things too, but I wouldn't consider that one. Somebody
No,
said,
that
yeah,
to me, that would be like crazy intuition or like a
yeah, like you
premonition.
listen to your gut not to do
Yeah,
something. I would say it's
like
a good thing.
your
Yeah,
gut is strong.
right. Somebody said, yeah, I know what you mean. I've had memories of full conversations in my head that I thought already occurred, only to bring them up and get told I was making it up. But then those conversations happen, and it's like what was yet to occur had already happened. I don't mean stuff like, hi, how are you? But some stuff that included information that I couldn't have known on my end. So it's not like I kept thinking about a conversation when it happened just to happen. It was just confirmation bias. And then that person goes on. Let's see what another one says. I almost wrote about something like this yesterday. Like, I'll be listening to the radio and I'll know what song is coming next. Sure enough, it's right every time. I thought, okay, maybe it's because the radio stations are redundant sometimes, but then it's a song that I haven't, like, that hasn't been played in a while. So that's odd. Or I'll go and play bingo. Not that I'm old yet, but I like to play. And I will and I will know the next number coming. I've actually had toys just about it because I know what's next. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is more premonition, intuition.
It's kind of like when someone, like you're with someone talking and you just know what the other person's going to say, but on another level.
Yeah. What do we have here? I want to find one that you submitted.
There's one that I accidentally sent that was like, I want to break off my engagement, but it was actually supposed to be about Munchausen's by proxy. I sent the wrong one.
That's hilarious. Well, I think you sent this one. It's what's the unsolved mystery in your local area?
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Do we have one? Well, I'm sure we have one here. I just can't think of what it would be.
Well, we have oh shoot, what was his name? You did his story. In Independence or whatever, Kenton County. At the fair.
Oh yeah, Randy Sellers.
Yes.
You're right. Unsolved mystery.
Then, there's a couple other ones. There's the Stevensons.
I don't know if
they were
covered that, right?
Yeah, remember T? She suggested that to us because she knew them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's see what people said. There was a house fire in South Dakota about an hour from my hometown. Okay, but the whole family died in it. Mom, dad, 4 children. At first, they thought, what a tragedy. And then assumed that the dad, and then they assumed that the dad shot everyone as there were bullet wounds in each person, set the house afire, and then killed himself. Cue the news and a very good news anchor investigating the whole thing. She was getting deep into what happened and found out that the mom and dad were embezzling money from an organization they were a part of to help Native American education. $1 million embezzled. Then the police dove into some scattered security camera footage and saw a vehicle drive to and from the property in the wee hours of the night. Murder, suicide, or homicide? Said anchor was getting closer to solving the dang thing, and rumor has it that she ended up getting death threats and stopped all coverage. This would only have to be true because she had a special on it often, and there was just no closure on why they stopped looking into it. Not a peep about it since. There's a lot to the story, and I summed it up as best as I could. Maybe tried to find a Crime Junkies episode on it.
That sounds straight out of a movie.
It does. There's a lot of replies to that link about that. People are remembering that same thing.
Yeah, that really caught my attention. When you hear a house fire alone, it's like, what?
Yeah. The Delphi murders. Did I say that right? Delphi? Or
yeah.
2 young girls killed by some creep on the walking trail in Delphi, Indiana. Yeah. They found a clip of video, voice perpetrator on one of the girls' phones, but no ID yet. We need to do that one.
Yeah, they were Joshy. He's been wanting us to do that one for a while.
Do that.
Yeah, like the girls were Snapchatting.
And they caught somebody on that recording?
Yeah, but it's like very grainy. And they have his voice. You know, I'm sure that there's some things that's not released to the public, but yeah, there's a lot of like things that just sound unexplainable.
Interesting. Somebody said a lady was stabbed 27 times while locked in her apartment. The boyfriend was banging on the door for her to let her in while it was happening. She heard screaming. There were no signs of forced entry or exit. No fingerprints on the knife. No traces on anyone else in the apartment. No nothing. The case was ruled as a suicide, but recently opened back up because they skipped over some details on something like that. Somebody said suicide. Obviously, she stabbed herself 27 times while screaming and then wiped her fingerprints off the knife. Right there.
I didn't mean to laugh, but I'm like,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like how dumb can you think, you know?
Yeah. Somebody said the West Mesa murders in Albuquerque. I don't know if it was a smart murder or just bad police work, but I would sleep better if someone was caught. I don't know if I know that one. I can't believe how many comments are on this thing. There's like over 1,000 comments. A girl I went to school with went missing in the woods. There was a Crime Watch daily special on it. Molly Miller was her name. I remember when I realized she went missing, I always thought she was really pretty in school, blue eyes and sleek black hair, and said hi to me when I was new and just thought that was so sweet. I moved to Texas the next year and happened to see her face on the board on Walmart. And I was like, that looks like Molly. And then it was, unfortunately. There was about 10 years ago and no one was heard from her and there's still no answers.
Oh, how sickening would that be?
Yeah. Oh, here's one we covered. Boy in the box. In Philadelphia many years ago, the boy's body was found abandoned in the box. They have not figured out who the boy is or who committed the crime. He'd been given a burial place in a local cemetery with a headstone just waiting for his real name. You can Google the exact details. Try Boy in the Box, Philadelphia. Yeah, that was a sad one.
Well, and of course, there's that we tend to mention now and then is the West Memphis 3 case.
Yes, which we will eventually cover.
Yeah. There's new events with that case. They are trying to get some DNA released.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have all that then when we cover it.
Yeah. What was it? I think Damien Eccles put out a tweet that would happen in June. They're going to go to court in June of this year.
I saw him post something the other day about it, and I can't remember the details. Something about hiding the truth and evidence and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's not testing the DNA or like releasing it to the other side or something.
Something like that. But this, all the links will be posted in the show notes. This one has over 1,000 threads going on. Like there's a lot. Apparently there's just a lot of unsolved crimes everywhere. So let's get another one here. This one is followed at Kroger. This just happened last night. I popped into the Kroger on my way home from work a little late, like 9 or so at night, just trying to grab a few bagged salads and whatnot for dinner. As I was walking in, a possibly homeless dude was also shuffling in from the opposite direction. I didn't think much of it, but I noted it as I always do. I always got to be aware and cautious as a smallish woman alone at night. This sub has only strengthened that for me. I'm a tattoo artist, so I don't exactly have the look of someone you want to F with, but I'm also only 5'2", so it's better to be safe than sorry. I'm shopping in produce and he shuffles by. Then I'm in the freezer and he shuffles by. And then I remember I needed more produce and go back and there he is again. At this point, I honestly thought, poor guy, it's pretty cold tonight. I bet he's a homeless person and you have to stay on the move, keep walking around. Or you can get away with, several hours in here, I bet. I wasn't creeped out at all yet. I did note that he had no basket or cart and had no products in his hands. But again, I assumed he was just getting warm inside. So I finished shopping and I see him a handful more times. I go to the self-checkout. I barely started scanning things when he begins checking out at the register next to me. As I said, it was late and no one was behind me waiting, so I was kind of taking my time scanning my items, which is why it was weird because he was still there a few minutes later and he hadn't hit a cart or a basket to check out. I glanced out of the corner of my eye and I saw him standing there pushing buttons on a screen, reaching into his pockets like he was going to pay. but wasn't ringing anything up. That set the alarm bells off. And I looked around to take note of anyone around, security or otherwise. And behind me at the bagged ice, a man is standing in a yellow vest like a cart pusher. But it's a guy I've never seen. I go to the store a lot. And I see he's mouthing numbers to the homeless man, 2240. I glance back at the dude behind me, and he's staring right at the vest guy, who then starts making small hand gestures back like they are communicating something. And at this point, neither of them are looking at me, but there is one on either side of me. I still wasn't sure if I was just being paranoid, so I gathered my groceries on my arm and then pretend to fumble my wallet and sent change everywhere. Both men began picking up the change for me. And while they were there bent over, I just said, "Oh, thanks. Don't worry about it. I'm in a hurry. Got to go." And practically sprinted out the door. Neither followed me right away, and there was no one parked near me. I flung all the groceries into the passenger seat. It was pulling out only seconds later by the time I saw the shuffling man come out of the store, looking left and right like he was looking for me, but also maybe just to return my change. Still not sure. I'm reading into this too much. I don't know. Could have been nothing, but I kept calling it my near kidnapping, which I hope is just an exaggeration.
Scary.
Yeah.
That sounds like around here, like stuff always happens at Kroger or Walmart. It used to just be Walmart. Now it's Kroger.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody said it was a really smart move with the change and outsmarting them. Somebody said, don't ever make excuses for your intuition telling you to nope out of that situation. I learned a good trick, especially for us ladies concerned with creepers following us. Find an employee or manager who seems friendly and more trustworthy. Show them the coupon on your phone that won't scan. In reality, you can type up whatever message you'd like into your notepad, and you can communicate with that employee secretly this way.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
We were at my hometown Walmart, and I was with my niece and my daughter, and there was a younger guy that kept walking. That Walmart down there is not a big one. It's the grocery and the retail, but it's not big at all. This dude kept just circling, doing laps around, walking by us continuously. And he was looking at my daughter, and Gary was with us. So I'm like, we got to get back in touch, find your father. And at that point, I was getting pissed. I looked at the dude and I cussed at him because something wasn't right. So, and I was getting really mad. Finally, we found Gary and never saw the dude again. But this dude had on one of those safety vests, which sounds like what she was talking about.
Yeah, it does. Wow. I would have never even, you would, oh, that's smart of those criminals, because you would look at that like, oh, they're an employee. It's fine.
Yeah, you would think that you can trust them.
That is nerve-wracking. I think that she listened to her intuition, and that's the way to do it, because a lot of us are just nice and we think that we're being ridiculous, and that's not always the case. So
well, yeah, I mean,
never apologize for doing that stuff.
We're just there doing what we got to do to get what we got to get and get out. And you should never feel bad or feel silly or dumb or anything about if you've got those bad feelings.
Exactly. Another one I found, I thought this one was kind of interesting. It's under creepy encounters, and it's called the Purple Jacket Girl. It says, so this happened about 2 years ago. To this day, it makes me extremely uneasy. I live in a neighborhood that's really, really family friendly. And there's a school right up the street and a lot of walking paths around, with the main path very close to the back of my house. I used to go out every night to smoke on the porch. I didn't hide it very well, and I'm sure my closest neighbors knew that I smoked. He was not smoking something legal, by the way.
Oh, okay.
The smell was strong and I coughed a lot. Because the walking path was so close to my house, a lot of random people would often walk by, even late into the night when I was smoking. Most of the time, there were no interactions. Sometimes a simple hey as someone walked by and made eye contact. And as I said, the neighborhood is friendly. Then one night, I see a short girl with a purple jacket at the top of my street. She crosses to my side, walks down towards the path, and crosses by my house. She makes no eye contact and keeps going. I saw her a couple more times after that over a span of about a month, and then it happened. I was out on the porch about 10 minutes into my session when I decided to watch YouTube on my phone. I had my headphones at full volume. Suddenly, I felt very uneasy, like I needed to be fully alert right now. So I paused my video and heard footsteps coming right at me. I looked up and there was the purple coat girl walking fast straight up my porch towards me, her face completely expressionless. As soon as I looked up and made eye contact, she did a 180 and spun around and fast walked away the way she came, not towards the path. I was so creeped out and disturbed by this encounter that I didn't go out to smoke at night for 2 months. To this day, to this day, I don't understand what happened. What did she want? Why was she mad about me smoking so openly, or does she have sinister intentions? I never saw her again after that, but I often think of her and I wonder and I worry that she lives close by and will attempt something again. So there's an edit and it says, I should say it's very unlikely it was the case of mistaken house because our houses are spaced out quite a bit. And I know the neighbors 3 doors down each way. Plus, she was walking while basically running right towards me, sitting on the porch, not towards the door.
Dude, maybe she was annoyed by the smell.
I don't know.
No. That's weird.
Somebody said, this is very strange. It appears as if she waited until you were completely distracted and made a run at you. You obviously freaked her out when you responded, so she ran away. The expressionless face is creepy too. It usually indicates some type of disorder. It's also interesting that you never saw her again after that. Somebody said, yeah, that's creepy. Like someone else mentioned, it's probably a mental disorder or quite possibly she wanted to partake.
Weird.
Somebody said, this made me laugh so much, I would have pooed my pants. It's so benign, really, because it doesn't make sense. And I would have never go out alone again.
I have some creepy stuff that I didn't send about kids, like evil things from kids.
Like what?
So this person says, I interviewed an elementary student about what he wanted to be when he grows up. He said a serial killer.
What?
Alarming, but I just responded that wouldn't work out very well. What about a job? So he says he wants to be a police officer, and it's an interview, so I asked him why. Does he want to keep people safe? He told me he wants to use a gun. That's all. I hope he doesn't make it.
Oh my gosh.
And then this other person said that they were a career advisor and a kid told them that he wanted to do a butchery apprenticeship so that they could start discussing options. Oh, no, wait. So I started discussing options with him and found him some vacancies to apply for. We set a meeting to start filling in application forms the week after. 5 minutes after he left, his teacher came in and said I shouldn't help him find a butchery apprenticeship because he had already killed a bunch of small animals, ranging from a hedgehog to his own dog.
No. That's a serial killer in the making.
Yes, 101.
That's not good.
This other one says, myself and all other neighborhood kids used to catch frogs, salamanders, newts, the usual. What's a newt? I don't know what a newt is.
Is that like a tadpole or something?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I could be totally wrong on that.
It sounds like that's probably what it is, though. We even had it down to a ridiculous level in retrospect, where one of my friends could perfectly imitate the mating call of a tree frog. Her little brother, it was a girl that she had grew up with. Her little brother was a little bit crazy, though. We had those styrofoam rockets from a museum of science where the hollow rocket sat on a plastic cylinder. When you slam down the whole apparatus, the air pressure would shoot the rocket up in the air 20 to 40 feet. Well, her little brother stole our frogs one day and put them in the rocket. Cue my friend screaming in horror as she realizes what he's about to do.
Oh, no.
The frogs more or less exploded inside the rocket. We stopped using that rocket.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
No.
And then I think this is the last one. No, I've got two more. This person was a child care worker for a family with 3 kids. The girl was 10, and then 2 boys, they were 8 and 5. The youngest boy was she said, DICK, to be honest.
No way. Okay.
He was just mean. He'd hurt his siblings and me. Obviously, a 5-year-old doesn't cause much damage, but he would dig his nails into you, pull your hair, etc. And he'd find it funny. He was also kind of manipulative, and he knew he could get away with anything, and he seemed to play on that. He was extremely angelic looking, blonde hair and blue eyes and a cherub face, but he was a shit. One winter evening, I picked up the 3 kids after school and went to a local cafe. It seemed all the parents were there to socialize after this event. So I was chatting at one of the tables with the parents while the kids played around. There was probably about 15 kids of varying ages running around causing havoc. Suddenly, I hear someone scream, quite obviously a different noise to the normal yelling and shrieking. It was like they were in pain. I was too far away to see what had happened, but got a horrible feeling in my stomach. Then one of the siblings ran up to me and told me what had happened. Apparently, the 5-year-old had grabbed the hands of another kid and pressed them against the boiling hot radiator, holding them there while the kid was screaming. I ran over there and berated him. The mother had already gotten her own child, the one that he burnt their hands, and he showed not 1 ounce of guilt or remorse. He was smiling when I ordered him to apologize to the other boy. Jesus, I'm half convinced he was a budding psychopath. And someone says, psychopath would be my guess, too young to tell. He might just need a firm hand so he knows this shit don't fly.
Wow.
Yeah. And then this one last one I have, it's this person's brother. My younger brother is a psychopath. We are 13 years apart. When I was very pregnant with my second child, he tried to drop kick me in the stomach and said he wanted to kill my baby.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
This kid should have been admitted immediately. He was mad because I wouldn't let him play a video game. Another time, when he was around 6 or 7, he took a baseball bat and jumped on the neighbor's car hood and started bashing it on the hood and roof, making dents. The neighbor came out horrified, and when he yelled at my brother, my mom came out and threatened to whoop the neighbor's ass. My mom is part of the reason my brother is such a shit. He's now 17, and I'm sure he will end up in prison someday.
Oh, wow.
Someone commented a not very nice word, calling the mom a name.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You found crazy ones, like future serial killers.
Yeah. They definitely need some institutionalization. Oh
my gosh. Okay, so I will end with just one more because I found this and I thought, how do I not cover this one? It's called My Dad as a Child Had a Conversation with John Wayne Gacy.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is a story as told by my dad. My dad was a young teenager at the time and was riding on the bus in Chicago. A man got on and sat in the seat across the aisle from him. He turned toward him and started to strike up a conversation. My dad says that the hairs on the back of his neck raised, and he got a seriously creepy vibe from him. Gacy was all smiles and charm and was asking my dad increasingly personal questions. Luckily, before things got too personal or creepy, my dad stopped came and he enthusiastically hopped off the bus and forgot about it. And it wasn't until later, 1978, the year I was born, that he saw on the news that the same creepy guy known by children as Pogo the Clown, what? And Patches the Clown had a thing for teenage boys.
Yeah, he would dress up as like a clown and go to parties or whatever, like birthday parties.
Here's another creepy detail. My dad is best friends with a guy who happened to live across the street from Gacy as a child/teenager. He confirms that Gacy was a creepy dude. He also confirmed that his parents observed the police forensics go to work on Gacy's basement and painstakingly removed 26 teenage boys from the crawl space. Sweet Home Chicago. And there's an edit. It says, oh my, I stepped away from my computer to make kids dinner, hang out with them, and put them to bed. I came back to find my post taking on a life of its own. Amazing how many people have stories to share about a family member having contact with this effing guy. Thanks to everyone willing to share. Stay safe, stay aware, and to listen to your inner voice. Somebody said my girlfriend's uncle used to hang out and play pool in Gacy's basement. He was never alone with him, though, which is why he believes he is still alive. He was 14 at the time, if I remember correctly.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody said my grandpa was Ted Bundy's boss at the Washington State Agency, and my aunt played softball with him as a teenager in the early 70s.
Haven has a friend that her mother lived in Seattle, or Washington State, and she believes that one of her friends that went missing, she believes that it was Bundy.
Whoa.
Yeah. She went missing. I don't know if they ever found her body.
Oh my God. Somebody said my mom worked with Jeffrey Dahmer at a blood bank.
Are you serious? At a blood bank?
Mm-hmm. There's so much. Anyways, we had some more, but I think that we've covered plenty, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, let me end with a nice one, though. I thought this was really nice.
Okay. Yeah, please do.
My niece just shared this on Facebook. I just saw a Reddit post by someone with extreme anxiety asking how to order a sandwich at Subway because they've never tried it, and someone replied and wrote out step-by-step instructions without being snarky or judgmental, and it's the kindest, sweetest thing that I've seen in months.
Aww.
The evil there, yes, isn't that nice? The evil there is an anxiety. It's an evil thing. I just thought that was a really nice thing.
That is a nice thing. I'm glad you ended it like that.
Very sweet.
Yeah. I think this Reddit stuff's pretty fun. And there's so many crazy stories out there that people share. But so yeah, that was We Read It and Said It Volume 2. We'll throw these in every once in a while. Not all the time, but every once in a while. We've had a lot going on.
It's a good break for our brains.
It really is. Yeah. We focused a lot on other things with the podcast lately. But anyways, that concludes this week's episode. Thank you for coming back to listen. If you're new, subscribe, and we put new episodes out every week. If you guys don't mind to give us a rating on one of our whatever platform that you listen to us on, that would be amazing. And I think that's all that we have for you today. So goodbye, and we will see out. Actually, I always say see you. We will talk to you next week.
See you later.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.